So, today, let's talk about the importance of a properly functioning spine and nervous system and how that can help you have a better quality of life for years and years to come. Because when I first entered the world of chiropractic and started working for a chiropractor as her front desk support system, I didn't know what chiropractors did. I didn't even know that chiropractors, well, before I went to go interview for the job, I didn't know that chiropractors were anywhere even connected to healthcare, right? I just knew that I saw the signs everywhere, but I had no idea that they were involved in healthcare. So when I had my first conversation with the practitioner before we did the interview, I was interested in healthcare. I was in the pre-med track, but I didn't actually know that I had another option. So even though most people come to see a chiropractor for back and neck related issues, a chiropractor is actually not a back or neck doctor. A chiropractor is actually a nervous system doctor. So the nervous system controls every single function of the human body. And the part of the nervous system that the chiropractor normally works with is the central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord. So you can see this, well, spinal cord is behind the spine, right? Or inside the spine, and then the brain, which sits on top of all of the spinal cords. So if these two organs, the brain and the spinal cord, malfunction in any way, that means you'll feel it or it'll impact your body in some way. And since the spinal cord is protected by the spinal bones or the vertebrae, this is the part of the skeleton where the chiropractor will primarily focus on. The human body has 24 movable spinal bones called the vertebrae. And in between each pair of the vertebrae, there is just enough room for the spinal nerves, which are extensions of the spinal cord itself, to exit. These spinal nerves branch out in all directions and supply vital information to every single cell of the body. So here's a closer up example of the vertebrae, right? So there's just enough space here for the nerves to exit and to help transmit information and communication between the brain and the organ or the tissues that those nerves are going to. And as you can see, if we don't take care of our spines or if we continue to stress our bodies more than we support our bodies, over time we get further and further degeneration. So it's critically important that our brain is able to communicate to all parts of our body, right? Imagine what would happen if, for any reason, your brain couldn't tell your heart to keep beating at 72 beats a minute. Your heart would beat irregularly, slow down, speed up, or even stop altogether, right? So, what could interfere with the brain's message to your heart? And in chiropractic, we call this type of interference a vertebral subluxation, or I often call it a vertebral misalignment. So, this misalignment is a very complex progression of events that takes chiropractors years and years to learn in chiropractic school. So, for simplicity's sake, I'll keep the definition as uncomplicated as possible. And a vertebral subluxation or misalignment is when the movable spinal bones or vertebrae move out of proper alignment. And that misalignment causes a lot of things to happen, including an alteration or change in nerve impulses. So these altered nerve impulses now change the very way your body functions. That's a lot to think about, right? The challenging thing with this is that you could have a misalignment and not even realize it. Because let's think about something like blood pressure for a minute. Most people don't even know they have high blood pressure until they get an abnormal reading or they suffer from a pretty serious consequence of high blood pressure, like having a stroke. So, does it make sense that the nerves that control blood pressure can cause this malfunction if the impulses they were sending or receiving were altered by a misalignment? I would say so. If you want to take a deeper look into how the body works and what we can do when maybe we're not feeling so great or we have reoccurring symptoms, I'd love for you to check out my course, Move Well, Eat Well, Live Well, and you can find details in the link below. See you next week.